This is episode 102. Today we have the honor of interviewing Mr. Milton Olave. He's native of Colombia and fully bilingual. Milton has trained 100,000 plus sales professionals from 30 plus industries in 3 different continents, helping them increase profits well into $500 million mark. Milton has successfully sold his way to the top, has consulted and conducted training for Fortune 500 companies, as well as teaming up with icons such as Jay Abraham, Tony Robbins, and the late Chet Holmes. I remember when I met Milton back in 2009, he was a former Tony Robbins sales strategist who shattered sales and enrollment records over a 15-year span. He has generated $450 million in revenues with B2C, B2B, and mass presentation models. He has sold over 700 homes utilizing these methods. He has taught, coached, mentored sales trainers to close 60% of audiences. And the list goes on and on and on. What are we waiting for? Let's welcome Milton Olave. Real business, real people, real stories. Welcome to Real Business Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Benenati. All right, Milton, thank you for coming on board and being with us here on the podcast.
Awesome. Listen, well, I heard that you were doing something about real business, and I like that, man, because I like talking to real entrepreneurs. You know, this world is filled with a lot of wannapreneurs, kinda-preneurs, haven't figured it out yet. So when I saw real business, I said, I got to be part of this. So thank you, man, for inviting me.
And that's what we're trying to get to, you know, to real people with real stories, you know, showing their failures, their success, the truth behind, you know, what it takes to become a business person, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, but just, you know, come out there and, you know, what it takes. Now, for those that don't know you, we've known each other for what, 10 years now?
I think a little more, man. I think we're going on 15, just that time skipping on so quickly.
Yeah,
man.
So for those listening, tell them a little bit about, you know, who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, man. You know, I'm one of those guys that, you know, found business at an early age, right around 21, when I got fired from my first sales job. I knew that some way, somehow, I was not going to be a good employee. Nevertheless, I kept at it, and I ended up working for a guy by the name of Tony Robbins, for a good decade and a half, for 15 years, actually, from 2003, doing some special, let's say, ops promotional seminar promotions all the way until 2017. But in between all of that, I knew that creating my own business was the ticket to, you know, next level. In other words, literally owning your life. And I did anything and everything possible to learn everything about how to really become a great entrepreneur. So
that's the way I met you. It was while you were working for Tony Robbins. You came to my office here in Orlando, and well, the rest is history. We always been in contact. Our conversations, for me, I respect you deeply.
Same here.
Your you know, the conversations we had at the end of it, my takeaway was, you know, inspiring, motivating, and it would spark other ideas. And it's always great, you know, networking with people like you. I know you have this Latino business conference that you were supposed to have. Now it was scheduled for April 24th and 25th, but due to our circumstances, that had to be postponed. Tell us a little bit about what this 3% formula is all about. I'm interested. I want to know what that is. I want to know the secret behind that.
Absolutely, man. Listen, hanging around, you know, the whole Robbins philosophy for a good decade and a half started to really speak to me in terms of what kind of entrepreneurs are really out there. I came across many people. Like I said earlier, There's a lot of, kindpreneurs, wannapreneurs, people dipping their toe in the water. But one of the things that I was fascinated by was the top three income earners, the top 3% income earners, because those guys were selling the same product, same geographical location, but yet they were out earning their colleagues, by 10 to 20 times. So I said, there's got to be a madness to this whole thing. What do they do? How do they think? How do they project themselves? And I realized that these people that do earn at the top three income earners, they do all of that. They think themselves into the deal. They see themselves not only closing, but helping, solving problems. It's a totally different mathematical equation that they put themselves in. As a result of that, they create different results. So I got a trademark on this thing called 3% formula. And if you were to say to me, hey man, just tell me what it is. In essence, it's teaching entrepreneurs the science of earning in the top 3%.
How to become the top 3%.
How to really earn, how to become a top three income earner. If you really think about this, Robert, 3% of the doctors in your geographical location, in my geographical location, have 97% of the clientele. 3% of the airlines, okay, they have 97% of the clients flying back and forth. In other words, 3% reigns supreme across the board. 3% of those that wake up with a dream when they're 5 end up in the NFL or the major leagues. So there's a madness to this, because all of us have the same opportunity, but yet for whatever reason, only that 3% kick it into high gear.
So what would you say is the common denominator?
It's got to be mindset. And you know this, obviously, you being a business person, having led teams. I met you leading teams, and I would imagine you're still leading teams. And now you're leading people through this podcast. And you and I both know, Robert, that at the end of the day, it's basically that 80-20, which is 80% of success. It's totally mindset. It's not skill. It's never skill. It's literally will. It's not a skill game, rather a will game. And that's where those people that have those inner drives and reasons to get things done, guess what? They get them done. So it's mindset.
It is. Like you said, you can teach a new skill to anyone, but it needs to be in their drive. They have to be a driver. They have to be a type A personality, a go-getter, and take that skill and take it to the next level. But you could have all that skill, but if you don't have those qualities, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to be in the top 3%, like you say.
That's right. And that's why we say that in business, Robert, it's the bottom that is crowded. That's where you have a lot of the people that they want better results. They want to make more money. They want to come from one industry and into the other, but very few succeed. And I'm talking about all industries. I'm talking about the industry that you know very well, which is real estate. Very few succeed. Network marketing. I'm talking just conventional sales. I'm talking about even that ugly statistic that you probably know about, where it says that 9 out of 10 businesses that get started within their first year, 90%, they're gone, out of the planet, disappeared. And why? Because of mindset. People think that it's easy, but it's not. That's where we really separate those people that will make it from those that at the end of the day will find themselves saying, I didn't know that this was going to be this difficult,
Well, reading different books that have helped me personally, you always see that everyone is a success, they have routine and habits. Okay. Do you have any that you can share that has kept you doing what you do and kept you motivated and moving forward the way you have?
Absolutely. Right here, if I look to my left, I have a board, and on that board, I have a yellow, actually it's a green paper. I wish I could get up and go get it, but it's a green paper. And then the other one's an orange paper. The green paper is all about affirmations, personal affirmations. The other paper, the orange paper, is all about how do I dial in the right mindset around finances. So for example, one of those affirmations is that I am a money magnet, that people come to me, deals come to me all the time. So these are the daily habits that me personally, I put into action. And of course, we have others. And, I see that you're in shape, brother. And, the whole physical game is
Well,
so important.
I try. Yeah, it is important.
Yeah.
Body, mind, spirit, all united and in sync.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
part of the game,
Yes. I mean, the physical game, going for walks, the meditation, prayer, which is a big one for me these days. So all of these little things, believe it or not, man, when you really add them up, they're the things that really make the huge difference. Yet a lot of people overlook them. And that's why they end up on the other side of the plate, which is, questioning themselves. Failing yet again. So it's the little things that give us a big results, Robert.
I know working out for you was a big thing. You started in the nutrition industry, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you wrote a book as well.
I got it. I got it right here. I've written 3 books. Yeah,
There
written
you
3
go.
books. The other one's there. Well, by the way, hey, if we're gonna say 3, let's just show the 3, right?
There you
So
go.
written 3 books in the area of health. Just because early on, back in the day when I was living in Jersey, these days I live in Florida and Miami. I don't know, man. I just caught onto the whole concept of good, healthy eating. 20 something years later, I'm 48 right now. I still get it in, as they say. Why? Just because I know that I'm only as good as how I feel physically, how vibrant I am. And that's a major component to success that, yet again, Robert, people overlook. They really they bank on one thing, which is themselves. Well, are you well nurtured mentally, spiritually, in your body, in your energy? Are you bringing your best and highest version to the table, to the transaction, or is it the diluted version? And that's why, again, people don't succeed.
Do you meditate?
I started to meditate these days more frequently than what I used to before. Call it getting a little older, Robert, and or just seeing some of these folks that are just crushing it. For example, the other day I saw a video on Ray Dalio and how Ray Dalio, believes in this. I think it's called transcendental meditation. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And of course, when you look at these big wigs that are ultra successful, you can't just, in other words, you got to do what they do. Success does leave clues.
Yeah, we're a year apart.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you younger or are you older? You're younger.
I'm a year younger. Yeah. I'm 47.
Okay.
And you just turned 48, correct?
48. Just turned 48.
February?
January, actually.
But
Yeah,
the end.
you're close.
You're an Aquarius.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. How
So
about
am
you?
I. Yeah. So am I.
What day?
The 7th of February.
7th of February.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Good.
So I asked because years ago when they would say meditation, I would think about, a Buddha sitting there for hours and, doing that type of thing. But it really has impacted me in a positive way. It's brought a lot of calm, and it's set my mindset, where I want it to be for the day. So one thing I have to tell you now before I forget, but one thing I remember about you always, and I keep sharing this all the time, is you did an exercise in my office back then, and it was that circle that was like a balance circle.
Right. The wheel of life.
The wheel of life, and you have the extremes of like work, family, exercise,
Right. Spirituality.
yeah. And the idea was the middle is a 0, and then the 10s are at the extreme of the circle, and you would kind of dial in where you think your life is within that category.
Right.
For example, work from 0 to 10, a work is, an 8, and family is a 2. By the time you started linking all those dots, you would see that the wheel looked more like an 8, So I've used that to, and I do that once a year at least. And I sit down and I do the circle, I write it up, and I put the dots down and figure out where I'm at, because sometimes I feel that, I'm working too much and not paying attention to the family,
Right.
or I'm working out too much and not working.
Right.
And so, or the spiritual, like the meditation and things like that. So I always use that, and I share that a lot when I see people come to me and ask me questions like, I feel I'm breaking apart here. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I said, well, where your balance is in life, and I give them that exercise, and it always helps. So
Yeah,
thanks,
no,
thanks to you.
absolutely, man. And you know what I think that is, Robert? That's an awareness tool. And it's good that you brought that up, because, imagine if you and I and everyone else that's listening to us, right, were to check in to see how things were going on a monthly basis. Hey, how am I doing with my fitness? You know what I mean? Hey, how am I doing in, my relationship with my significant other? But we've been taught as a society that we do this yearly check-in, and you and I know when it is that we check in. Usually is what? New Year's, right?
Right.
It's like that New Year's resolution is like, oh man, how was last year? We do a checks and balances, sort of like if you have a business, you do that, P&L statement, that profit and loss. And I'm here to tell you, man, that the more you are willing to dive into the movie of your life and see where you're really at spiritually, financially, physically, right, in other areas of your life, the higher the probability of success. And for those of you that are in business, because I came up also with a wheel, Robert, one of the things that we do in business is that we actually hand this wheel to everyone at our seminars, and we say, hey, man, business, or here's how we set it up. Could you agree that business is about what? Marketing, sales, networking, social media these days, mindset, right? So we actually have the same wheel, and we say, grade yourself from 0 to 10 in terms of where you're at in marketing. Because a lot of people like to, for example, play the blame game. Well, it ain't me. My business is not working because of an exterior condition. It's something that's happening out there. But when you really put this form in front of them, it's this amazing splash in the face where they say, you know what? I'm not really at a 10. I'm not even at a 5. I'm at a 2 in marketing. And when you connect those dots and you get this uneven structure, it's supposed to be a wheel, the round wheel.
Right.
People realize they got some either major, edges going on, or it's a flat tire. And that's why their business is not working, because they're not focusing on what we call those key areas of growth. They're not marketing. They don't know how to sell. They don't keep themselves fresh and green and growing in their own mindset. Social media, they resist the whole thing. For example, what you're doing. In other words, instead of embracing, they resist the very same things that they should do to go to the next level.
And that's very common.
Very common and very sad.
It is. You have this, like I said, this 3% formula. You had the Latino Business Conference that's coming there. Tell us a little bit about that. What do you teach? How long is it? And what the attendees can expect to take away from that experience?
Sure. Before I tell you about that, I think that one of the questions, Robert, that we should dive into is why did I decide to go into the Latino marketplace, right? I read this book, and this is a good book for you, called Blue Ocean Strategy, right? There are red oceans and there are blue oceans. Red oceans are basically characterized as contested, highly, high competition, saturated markets. And when I really looked at my business and I said, what is it that I can do that can give me that 15-year down the road competitive advantage? I said, man, blue ocean strategy, uncontested waters, major opportunity. In other words, an opportunity for me to really cement myself and my brand. And I said, well, what is it that I really know? And I said, well, I speak Spanish very well. I'm originally from Colombia. Mm-hmm. And I said, who's underserved out there? And I said, well, Latinos are underserved. I'm a Latino. Not only do I speak the language, but I speak the culture. So I said, I'm totally going to go blue ocean strategy. And I created this thing called 3% Latino Business Conference, where what I do is for 2 days, I coach people on sales, running their business like a business. Something as simple as, hey, man, when was the last time you did a P&L statement, right? How do we gain the upper hand in terms of sales? How do we, really help you to position your brand in a very powerful way? How do we help you to be one of the top 3 income earners out there? So that's what we do. But here's what we do. We bring in top superstars. For example, I was, and I'm still going to bring in Raul Gonzalez from Despierta America in Univision. So what I do is that I bring these high-level end people, high-end people that are known around the world, because guess what? We all want to know their story, from their trials and their tribulations to how are you on TV now? In other words, how did you make it to the top? And I tell you what, I couldn't be more excited about that, to really be able to utilize the power of 3 or 4, 4 or more people to really, drive home a major message of how is it that people can go to the next level, because if they could do it, so can they.
I did visit your website, and I realized you did have Raul Gonzalez. He's originally from Venezuela, correct?
Venezuela, yeah.
And he got here to the States, and then he was able to be a TV host for Univision.
Yeah.
And you have another gentleman by the name of Victor Antonio.
Victor Antonio, yeah. And the thing about Raul, we skipped a couple of pieces in there, right? He was the guy that came here, back in his early teens, had to sleep in his car, no money for food. And a lot of us who are entrepreneurs, we can relate to that. We can relate to the ramen noodles. We can relate to the tuna and the rice and the beans, just because when you're impregnated with this vision and you got to make it happen, brother, you'll do whatever it takes. You'll basically decrease your lifestyle, all in the name of really making it. And that's what makes these guests extremely special, because they're not just showcasing, hey, I'm on TV, more than I used to sleep in the car. I used to have to go to the gym, not to work out,
to take a shower,
make it like I was going to go work out, but I need to go in there and take a shower to get the day going, and it's kind of crazy, but that's basically, the most inspiring messages out there. And same thing with Victor, being a VP of sales in Chicago, running sales for a $360 million company, and had one day, management wakes up. I mean, not wakes up, they get up and they say, hey, we need to make changes. And out of nowhere, he finds himself having to make changes himself. He had to pivot, and pivot fast. So these are the kind of stories that definitely, whether you're Latinos, English speaking only, these are the kind of stories that definitely bring in that element of, man, you know what? If they could do it, I could definitely do it as well.
Yeah, that reminds me of that movie, Pursuit of Happiness.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
So you've been around the world. You've been in 3 continents. You've trained. You've worked for, you've coached and consulted Fortune 500 companies. I remember at one point of your life, you were somewhere in Mexico.
Yeah, 18 months back in 2010, from 2010 right around till about 2011, middle of 2011. And I was called upon to join Anthony Robbins, Jay Abraham, and Chet Holmes back then. May Chet rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the Ultimate Sales Machine, I believe. That's the name of the book. And, they had a big opportunity, but they had a major problem. They had $1 billion client in Mexico, but the problem was that they did not speak Spanish. And moreover, they did not speak the language. I mean, not the language, the culture.
The culture,
so
correct.
I was called onto the scene, and man, we helped that company to increase revenues to the tune of about $400 million in about 14, 15 months. And I was the guy with, boots on the ground, just traveling back and forth many times, 2-3 planes a day, from one, part of the world in Mexico to the other part, and all in the name of transforming lives. So that was a pretty cool experience. You just brought me back.
Yeah. Do you attribute your success and your root of this type of business to that type of work you did with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes? That you decided to go this route, training companies and doing it on your own?
Yeah. I think the answer is twofold, Robert. I attribute it definitely to investing in myself from way back then when I was 21 years old and curious. These days I'm 48. Once again, I keep on highlighting that, but when I was 21, I was curious. I was young. Quite frankly, the truth is that I did not want to end up like my father. And he drove a truck for about 30 something years, and let that not sound bad. It's just that I was scared of the daily hustle that he went through because I never saw him. He would leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, get home at 8, 9 o'clock. And I said, holy cow, at the age of 21, you start to, think about what your next steps are going to be. And I really got scared. I said, is this what really life is all about? So I started going to the seminars. I started getting a different conversation in my brain, and never stopped. But I'll also tell you, I attribute it to, being the kind of person that says, hey, man, you know what? If it's to be, it's up to me. No one's going to come in and push me towards the finish line. And I started to just go out there and take steps. There's a phrase in regards to taking action, because a lot of people actually, they hesitate, right? And there's a cost to hesitation, right? We've all heard it. He who hesitates loses. And it is so true, man. So for me, I created this mantra that even a step in the wrong direction is better than no step at all. So I started taking steps. I started applying the whole philosophy of fire, aim, ready instead of ready, aim, fire. Right?
Right.
I'm like, I'm just gonna go take the action. So
Then ask questions later.
that's it. That's it, man. It's like you get muddied up, and sometimes you celebrate because you got the mud in your face, or sometimes you get these levels of pondering where you say to yourself, okay, how do I do it better next time around?
Are you reading a book right now? And if so, what is it?
I am
I can see all the books behind you, so I asked because I'm curious.
Yeah, man. I am. I just picked up. No plug intended, but I just picked up Millionaire Habits by Dean Graziosi.
Know him well. Yep.
Yeah. So I just picked up one of his books. I'm also revisiting The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And also, believe it or not, Think and Grow Rich. I believe that, that becomes.
That's a Bible.
That's the business Bible. Yeah, I was about to say that, the business Bible. And man, reading it again these days, it's different than when I picked it up 15, 20 years ago. So I'm enjoying that book these days. How about you? Which book are you reading?
Right now I'm revisiting, because for me it was Principle of Success by Jack Canfield.
Okay.
That's a book that I go to at least once a year. And for those that haven't read it, I think if you just read the first chapter, it changes your whole perspective as to blaming people or blaming circumstances, because the first chapter is talking about you have to take 100% responsibilities for your actions. Mm-hmm. And he gives you one easy example, and it's, you get up at 6 a.m. to be at work at 7. So you leave your house, 20 minutes prior, because that's the norm. But right. This particular morning, it's raining, and you still leave 20 minutes prior. You're going to get there late, and then you get to work and they tell you why you're late. And you start blaming the rain. It's not the rain's fault. You should have left 5 or 10 minutes even earlier.
Right.
So it's about that simple, taking action. And if you could be honest with yourself and see something like that and say, you know what, it's true. I can't do anything about the rain, but I definitely can leave 5 or 10 minutes earlier, knowing that I'm going to get there late, that traffic is slow and so forth. So for me, right. It's that book right now.
Nice. Awesome. And what I get from what you just said is taking personal inventory and personal responsibility and not blaming the world. And that's what a lot of people do. Well, you don't understand, this and this happened. And man, the opposite. I'm sorry. When we show up with excuses, the rewards are pain. Right? You get fired. Someone with less talent, definitely, skips to the front of the line. So I think it's all about personal responsibility. Thanks for that share, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. last question before we sign off here.
Sure.
If you have one piece of advice to someone that is um, starting a business or that has a 9 to 5, but is thinking of going on their own, what is one important advice that you would give them?
The first question is, and Simon Sinek, Start With Why, the book. The first question that I would ask them to ask of themselves is, why do you want to leave your job? And it's not because I don't like my boss, or it's not because I don't make enough money. It's got to be a deeper why, because there will be tough times up ahead. And it is going to be that why that's going to refuel that person's, let's say, enthusiasm when the going gets tough. So number one is start with the why. Why do you really want to go out there and put your foot forward? Because it's not even putting your foot forward more than your best foot forward. How do you really understand that it's not going to be easy? So that's why I say, number one, start with your why. Number two, get clear on your who and your what. One of my mentors these days, okay, and this is not a plug, okay, his name is Pedro Adao. And Pedro, I'm in one of his coaching mentoring programs these days myself. And one of the things that I've picked up that actually has made it really go deeper into my spirit is, who's your who and what is your what? And beyond that, what's your offer, right? In other words, get really crystal clear, get granular in terms of, your who, your what is your offer? And beyond that, which is even the most important piece, right? Could be one of the most important pieces once you answer the why and once you understand who it is, or who you're going to serve, is really set yourself up correctly. And what I really mean by that is this, Robert. Throughout my journey as an entrepreneur, I've met people that say that they're in business, but yet they don't have their companies registered anywhere. And I'll tell you one thing, that's actually gone deeper for me, especially in these times where I see so many individuals that could get, and I'm not really sure when this is going to air, that could get, help from the government in terms of what's going on, these stimulus packages to really help their companies. But guess what? There's no company to help because they're not registered. They don't have a P&L statement. They don't have a cash flow statement. They don't have a balance sheet. They're running a business like a habit, like a joke. So if there was one thing that I was going to say to people is really get committed and get, super real with yourself and say, man, if I'm really going to be in this gig, let me just go take the right steps to set myself up correctly so that, guys like me who decide to look you up and, for example, I got a new rule. I don't do business with people that don't have a business that's registered, because that tells me that if they don't believe in their business to the degree or to that point of let's go get this registered, why would I want to throw my energy and my money their way if they haven't even taken the first step to do what literally I believe is a logical step? Let me go register my business.
Well, it's funny you say that. I've done the same thing. I do the same thing. Like, I wouldn't do business with anyone that says they have a business and they're not legally in business.
Right.
I never thought about it like that, but it was just my way of doing. When you do something and you don't even know why you do certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you? I know you train, and you've trained in sales. Have most of the people you train or the industry you've trained have been self-employed people that depend on a commission versus a salary? Because I think that's also a different mindset when you're on a commission-based income or salary versus on a pay.
Sure. I love training the underdog that's got to wake up and really look after himself, he or herself. And what I mean by that is the commission sales individual and or the entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, these days, speaking of getting granular, I'm working with entrepreneurs. And what does that really mean? It's sales commission people that either work for a brand, maybe you're a realtor, maybe you're a network marketer, maybe you sell insurance somewhere, because those are the people that really will allow my messages to really align with them. Because let's face it, whenever you have a cushy salary or someone that, is on a draw or on a partial commission and or salary, guess what? They know that whether they sell or they don't sell, they don't have to push the envelope a lot. So they're not really all there when it comes to the learning.
They're not vested. They're not committed.
No
I've
skin in the
had,
game.
of course, I've had close to or a little over 100 agents working in the firm, and it was tough for me trying to train them and take the time to train, and then you come back 2 weeks later and find out, okay, you ask them, so did you do what we planned? And they look at you and no, I didn't have time, I didn't do it. That is, I guess that's the 97%.
That's the 97%. And that's where in a world where as it gets tougher, you got to get better. You got to get, and I'm not just saying you, but I'm just saying in general. And I'm talking to, in this situation, to a lot of those hiring managers, those sales managers, those C-level people, those VP of sales. Take your time in recruiting the right person. Put a lot of hurdles in between so that at the end of the day, you squeeze out on the other end the best and most competent person, the person that really, as he or she says yes, their actions will match their yes. There's a lot of people in business that will say yes, but they're totally incongruent with their behaviors. And we see a lot of that. So I guess that's where us as entrepreneurs, we got to get better in making sure that we make the proper selections.
Are you doing one-on-one coaching, or it's more company-based?
It's more company-based. It's more group coaching. Here's a couple of things that I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start doing what we call some entrepreneurial challenges. Right. I'm just fascinated by what's happening in that space. And also, I am going to launch a series of online courses. Already have a team in place. So I'm excited about, at the tender age of 48, I'm excited about really tapping into the power of the internet and scaling back on a lot of the person to person, and more or less leaving that up to the what we call the highly skilled. In other words, if you want a day with Milton, it's going to cost you quite a bit of money. But at the end of the day, guess what? If they're willing to pay the money, as they say, when people pay, they pay attention. Those are the kind of people that I want to work with. The people that want to pay because they'll pay attention, because they're vested, because they got skin in the game, and they want their team to get the inside look of someone that's trained close to 200,000 individuals, at least 5,000 companies, and generated close to $1 billion in revenues for a lot of these folks.
Impressive. So you have the one in Miami coming up that you would probably reschedule whenever we get it out of all this. But you also do New York and the West Coast, California?
We're going to do, 2020. Obviously, they say if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So I'm going to tell him my plans a little bit here. All right. And, we'll see. Obviously, we're beyond crossing our fingers. We're praying that this whole thing definitely, skips on by here. But we are doing Miami, and then we're going to go to New York. And then at this point in the game, it appears that we're going to do an event late November in California, Northern California, the Silicon Valley area.
Okay, so if whoever's listening would like to attend, or living in Florida, Orlando, or Miami, and they want to attend your conference, where can they look you up?
Two areas. Number one, they can go to 3%latino.com.
The number three.
The number three. Yeah, thank you for that. Number 3, and then percent, which is PERCENT, Latino, LATINO.com. And they could also go and be part of my Instagram. These days, I'm vested in building Instagram. It's THE Milton Olave, THE the Milton Olave. And there you and I can definitely link up. You'll see that I'm doing a lot of work, dropping in with some, IG lives and some stories and, posting great nuggets to keep yourself nice and positive in your mindset. So my Instagram will be the best place to go.
Great. I'll be stay on top of that, and I haven't been in Miami for a while, so maybe I have a good reason to go now.
Come on down.
I would love, I'd love to get together, have dinner with, your wife and yourself. I'll bring my wife down,
Sure.
And I always learn something with you, so I would look forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, same here, man. And big up to you for what you're doing in terms of impacting entrepreneurs. I think that you're definitely in the right lane. You're in the right space. And I'll tell you what, you are the right person for this space as well, just because you've been out there for a long time. You're not a newbie. You spoke to the amount of time that you and I have known each other. And brother, I know that you have only gotten better, as they say with wine, right? Not only better, but also wiser. So I'm excited for you in terms of what you're doing.
Thank you
real
for that.
business, man.
Thank you for that. You live and learn, and you learn from your mistakes and your failures. People, they're afraid of the word failure, and sure. I never seen it as a failure. I just see it as, I tried, it didn't work this way. Let's find the way that it will work.
That's right. Awesome, man. So listen, thank you for having me on board, man.
No, thank you for
great honor to be with
for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're super busy. I had to get on a schedule on a link you sent me. I said, man, getting a hold of Milton is not easy now. But thank you for doing that. Thank you.
You bet, man. Thank you, man. And God bless. All right, bro.
If you like the topic in today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on iTunes or visit Real Business Podcast for more information. Thank you. Until next week, stay real.